start again. It's a redskin.
So it's the next morning, and I couldn't sleep. Stayed up all night thinking what I needed to do to get this car running. Now, I just decided, after looking on Facebook, online, through the different websites that you can purchase either long blocks or full complete swaps, and they hover around between, if you get a long block, a B16, JDM B16 will run you about $1,500 on up. The most expensive one I found was of course, the B18 Type R engine that was running about $4,000 to $5,000, and I'm not going to go there. I'm going to stick with the B16, the engine that came in the SIR model. So I decided to do a couple of things first. I'm going to test or take measurements of this particular block and see the variations, if there's any, on these two cylinders, cylinder 2 and 3. These are the two cylinders that didn't have a lot of compression. This one had 90, this one had 60. And the more I thought about it last night, I had swapped out a timing belt and timing belt tensioner right before I parked it. Actually, it was parked when I did it, and it didn't run after that, so it stayed in this position. Now, I had taken off, for some reason, I think I was smoothing the firewall or whatever, doing the right-hand drive firewall swap, and I pulled off the intake manifold, and then I put it in storage. Well, it stayed off for years and years. Well, I had a hood on top of the car, but once in a while, these, the gusts of wind that come around here would blow off the hood, and water would get inside those openings. Well, since these were open, the valves, or the piston was in a position where it was sucking in air, the water got into this two cylinders, and that's what caused that. Now, I know water didn't get further down into the oil pan, because when I drained it, if you remember, videos a long time ago, that there was no water to be found in any of these, in any of the oil. So I'm going to go over, I'm headed over now to the nearest Harbor Freight, and which is about 45 minutes away from where I live, and I'm going to grab a couple of things to take all these readings and see if I can salvage this block, because like I say, this block only has about 60 to 70,000 miles on it, and I personally didn't do a lot of damage to it as far as over revving it and abusing it. So yeah, I'm gonna go down there, get a couple of tools, and take off the pistons, re-hone the cylinder walls, and then take some measurements before and after, and see if there's any variations. If there's a big noticeable difference in the measurements, then yeah, I'm gonna have to either reline the block or just get a new bottom end. So that cart was about $300 worth of stuff, which is, I think, not too bad, considering if I would have bought it instead of at Harbor Freight, if I would have went to like an auto parts store or the hardware store, it would have probably been twice as much. I pretty much got everything I needed except for one thing, and so I do need to go to AutoZone, I guess, and see if they have it. I know I have one somewhere, but it's kind of one of those things that it's been, what, 12 years since I've used it, and who knows where it's at. All right, so piston number 2 is out, and maybe you can see it a little bit better, but there it is. You can kind of see, and you can't, I mean, if you run your finger in there, you can't even feel it. It's kind of like it's etched. I took a few measurements from the top all the way down to the bottom, and it's all about 81 millimeters across. All right, so I've been at this for a while on this one piston, or one cylinder, and here's kind of like a before and after. This is before, of course. I just pulled this piston out of there, and this is after. Now, I've made several passes with that honing tool, and I seem to have gotten pretty much all of that etching from the water or the rust or whatever that was in there, and it's pretty smooth in there. And I've measured it again. I measured it before, and then I measured it after, and this is after several passes, and it was like at 80.99 or something like that, right there. Yeah, 80.99, and you can see that it's pretty much still the same. Right there. Can you see that? That, I don't know. I think I might end up doing a few more passes, even though I've almost kind of gone through this honing tool. You can see right there. It's almost all the way gone. Now, I kind of figured out why this one only had like 60 PSI in there. This was cylinder number 3. And you can see that the ring is kind of frozen in place, so it wasn't expanding and sealing in the on the wall of the cylinder right there. So that's probably why that one was really low. Alright, this cylinder is pretty much done. It didn't take as long as this one. I don't know why. Maybe because I used a different hone for this guy, and the one I used on this one was from the Harbor Freight, and that one's gone. Look at this. There's like nothing left. And this one right at the end started to crack right there and right there. So yeah, this one's gone, no good. So I pulled out this guy, which I've had in the storage unit, and did this guy. And looks like it came out really nice. This one, I mean, you can kind of see that it still has some of that etching in there, but I can't feel it with my finger. I can't, there's no scratches or anything like that. I don't know. It's already, like this one, I measured this guy, of course, and so that one's a good, right there. And then this one, see, this one is significantly bigger. I'm hoping that the tolerances are good enough for the rings to be in. I'm going to have to read up on it and see what the tolerance, the allowances for the rings. Well, I thought I could save it. And after honing it, this one stayed pretty good. And this one you can kind of still see some of the etching on the cylinder wall, and there's no use for me to take it down any further, because you can see that the rings aren't actually on the pistons, but there's movement there. There's no movement on this guy. So this one has been, the tolerances have been exceeded according to what, the diagrams or the specs that I found. I'm at 0.022, which is a really, really small amount, but I'm over that limit, and I don't want to put this engine back together the way it is just to have it fail. Like I say, I know I'm not going to be driving this car a lot, but for what I am going to be driving it, I want it to be reliable. So, all right. So last night, kind of looked all over the place to see if I could find a long block, and I checked on Facebook Marketplace. I found one which is really promising. So I messaged the guy, asked him if it was still available. He gave me the thumbs up. I was like, awesome, dude. I will go and pick it up tomorrow, which is today. Took a while to respond, and then gets back to me. I have a B20B. Well, the ad clearly stated you have a B16A long block. I said, so you don't have the B16A that you have the ad for? Never responded again. So yeah, and then I found it. Early this morning, I was going through Marketplace again, found another one which is about 2.5, 3 hours away from where I live. Got in touch with the guy this morning, the guy that I just told you about, and finally got back to me. It's about 11:30 right now, and this is the block that I found. According to him, let's see, B16A. He's selling all this other stuff too, but I don't really need any of that stuff. I just need the block. I can't really see. For the most part, it looks like a B16 block. I just don't know exactly what, if it's an A1 or A2 or whatever. But it should work with all the components that I have. Shot him an offer of $350 for the block, and of course I still need to clean it up and swap out all the parts off of my block onto this one, and then see what happens. But yeah, I'm going today to pick it up. It's about a 3-hour drive for me, so I got to leave around noon. Later, I'm pulling in. Just got to find this guy's address. I'm really hoping this is legit. So yeah, I'm gonna head to his place right now and see what we got. Well, it was legit. B16A JDM low end complete. I checked the cylinder walls and they all look good. I've turned over the crank, and there's no grinding or anything like that. I still kind of want to pull the bottom end or the oil pan and just make sure the bearings are good. Other than that, it seems pretty good. right, so here it is, B16A engine. Now, I don't know exactly what it came off of. He did state that when they pulled it off, it was in an EG. I'm not sure if it was a right-hand drive or not. If it was, I'm really sad because right now, because they chopped it in half or were making it kind of like into a trailer or something like that. So, yeah, it's a little dirty, so I just got to clean it up. And the guy that had it before had an oil cooler, I believe, because he has this sandwiched on there. I got to pull that off. I got to take everything off, basically. Take off the pulley, the crank, water pump. I'm going to order a new water pump today, and I'm thinking about ordering the new oil pump as well. And I have all this stuff new, so I can swap all that stuff out. And luckily enough, it came with these, so I can put on the flywheel. I have another flywheel that I found in my shop. Hopefully it's for a B16. And I did notice that it's leaking. Where is it? Right there. Leaking right off the rear main seal. So I did, on my way in from buying the engine, I stopped at a O'Reilly's or auto parts store and picked up a rear main seal and a new oil pan gasket. So they didn't have the head gasket or the water pump. So I'm going to have to go to the local auto parts stores and probably order it because they most likely don't have it. And then I'm gonna degrease the whole thing, cover up all this stuff, degrease it, and remove all the stuff I don't need, and then paint it. And then, well, actually, first, before I paint it, I'm gonna pull off that oil pan and see how the bearings look underneath, because yeah, I really want to check that. Couple of little bit of areas that I missed, like right there, but I didn't want to get that pressure spray in there because it's starting to push this up. I might have actually already gotten water inside there, but like I said, I'm going to take off the oil pan. And yeah, I don't see any damage to it or anything like that. It was just really dirty. So, and it looks like right here they might have already changed out this oil pump before, so might not have to do that. I did order the water pump because that one was, look, it was kind of locked up. I do have to make another plug for this one and another one for that one, and I have these here brand new, and I did replace the rear main seal already, so that's good to go. So I guess all I have to do now is just flip it over and pull off this oil pan, see what that looks like. Here is the piston that I just pulled off of that engine. It looks like they didn't do a lot of oil changes. The bearings themselves got some wear to them. There's no, like deep gouges or anything, but you can tell that they are pretty worn. This is the piston that came out of this engine. And you can see almost side by side the difference. The only thing that I think that's saving me from not going completely crazy is the block itself is in perfect shape. So, looks like the next order of business is for me to either put the pistons that are on this engine in that one that I just bought, or just buy all new pistons and bearings and all that other stuff. Because like I say, these ones, I mean, you could tell, look at the difference here, even the tops compared to that one. It's night and day almost. So even the color compared, this is the one that's on this engine here, and this is the one I just pulled out. This almost has like a bronze color to it, which means the oil wasn't changed as frequently or as often as it should have been. So it's kind of made the metal have this kind of bronzish color compared to this kind of more silvery color. So yeah, that's yeah, I'm glad I did that, or else, you know, these bearings would have probably given out at some point. And the actual valleys themselves, this is the difference between the two. So yeah, you can see this one, even though the bearing's right in here, yeah, this one's a whole lot cleaner. I don't know. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to just go ahead and do that, even though I already bought, God, I've already spent like, let's see, about 600 bucks. Well, no, even more than that, not including the block that I just got. So I guess I'll pull off all the pistons and just clean it up, I guess, because I'm gonna have to change them all out. Well, I think it's pretty much done. I sprayed a WD-40 on the inside so it wouldn't get rusty, and until I can order the pistons and all that other stuff. And just for a moment I thought maybe I could get away with just ordering the rings and then using the same pistons, but ultimately I figured probably better if I just ordered the same things. I know I painted all of this stuff here, but I'm going to take them off the other engine and put them on this one. So, you know, I don't need any of these things. I do got to make a plug for this one and this one. And like I say, I have the water pump coming in tomorrow morning, as well as the head gasket, but I can't put the head gasket or the head on until I get the other stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, the inside of the cylinder walls look a heck of a lot better than the other engine. So yeah, now I can say that I have replaced every single thing on this car. I mean, literally everything has been replaced. So that's why they call it a project car.